It's that idea that I was made to think about by National Allotment Week of being responsible as individuals for some of the stuff of our lives. Having an allotment since time immemorial gives people the opportunity to grow their own fruit and veg, flowers, whatever. And that simple act of taking responsibility for our own destinies is powerful. It means something. And it caught my eye, I think, because I'm getting more and more exercised about the dependency culture that's being cultivated around us. More and more, it's blatantly the objective of the powers that be, the state, the corporations, big pharma, big tech, whoever, to make us think we're helpless and that we can't do anything without them. And it's driving me further and further up the wall. Those above us, those in control, those with their hands on the levers, those with control over those things we take for granted in our lives, the fields, the technology, the medicines, the food we eat, they're turning us into battery hens or sheep or some other, helpless domesticated animals. Up to a point, I suppose you might say that's okay if the shepherd's a good guy, if the shepherd has the interests of the sheep at heart. But what happens when he's not? What happens when the shepherd or the person looking after the hen coop is only out to exploit us? I saw something else online this week. It was a quote from the actor Woody Harrelson, from numerous big movies, Hunger Games and all the rest of it. And a quote was attributed to him saying, "We live in a completely corrupted world where every government is just a bunch of businessmen working for a bigger bunch of businessmen, and none of them give a shit about the people. The sad fact is no one knows how to change it because no one knows how to take on the corporations." And I read that and I wanted to shout hallelujah, because it's in that same bit of thinking that I'm preoccupied with at the moment, that others have taken control of too much of the necessities of our lives. There's another quote that I often go back to. It's usually attributed to Hunter S. Thompson, the gonzo journalist from the 60s and 70s and whatever. And he specifically said, "The music business is a cruel and shallow money trench, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs. There's also a negative side." Now, he was talking specifically about the music business, but I think that's the corporate world in its entirety. It's a money trench where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs. It's all of a piece. These are all pieces of a bigger puzzle that we have to fit together and recognise the picture that's being built so that we can take action. The Harrelson quote about not knowing how to take on the corporations, it's true enough. A lot of people understandably feel hopeless and helpless. What can I do? I'm just one person. I'm too busy just trying to earn a living and take care of my family. That's enough without trying to take on the big corporations and the government and the rest of the authorities. So although it would be ideal to take them on, at the same time, and in the meantime, I think there's another way, which is to say, turning our backs on them as much as possible and finding other ways to go about the business of life. As I said at the top, I think what's being fostered here in the West is a culture of dependency. And it's not new. There's pressure all around us to surrender our agency, our individual independence, to submit to the notion that we're helpless individuals, that we need the state and corporations for everything, from health to happiness, to the food we eat, the thoughts we think, and the opinions that we say we hold. I mean, before we get to National Allotment Week, God love it, there's the weather. It's summertime in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment. And it's hot. It's August. And even this is being used for more fear, the propagation of more fear and more dependency. There's heat wave warnings everywhere you look. We're being told that the summer is a threat to life itself. They've invented amber and red colour codings for the level of risk associated with the summer. It's insane. we've now accepted such a pitch of dependency that we need government advice, apparently, on how to survive the summer. How have we let this happen? I used to enjoy the summer. Hot weather and high temperatures used to be something to celebrate, but not anymore. And it's always been there, this attempt to pull away from us our abilities, our awareness of ourselves as potent and powerful sovereign individuals who have and should fight to retain all manner of control over so many aspects of our lives. Health is at the forefront of people's minds at the moment because of the recent COVID-19 adventure. But the desire to make us feel helpless about our health is old. It's an insidious determination to persuade us that it's not within our gift to keep ourselves and make ourselves healthy. If you look back hundreds of years to the demonization of witches, that was about getting at the ancient wisdom of the people. For 200,000 years, the human species, Homo sapiens, was acquiring all kinds of knowledge and understanding about the natural world and how it could help us. But part of demonizing witches was about ridiculing natural medicines and folk wisdom about how to be healthy and how to treat ailments. And that, obviously, the witches, the wise women or the wise people of communities were set aside. And by now we're almost entirely enthralled to and at the mercy of the pharmaceutical industry. Every ailment, and not just ailments, our general well-being apparently needs a prescription drug. And the prescription drugs just make money for someone. But at the same time, as we've been submitting to that idea, we've grown increasingly fat and unhappy in the West. And we're increasingly disinclined and discouraged from helping ourselves. I was thinking about it during the worst of lockdown, when they closed the gyms and the swimming pools and the health centres, and they even made it difficult to go out for a walk. You know, it was demonised to be seen to be out walking around a park, which is the antithesis of the mindset of hopefully healthy people. I've been reading more and more about how, as you get older, or as the years go on, let's say, before you even contemplate being old, one of the greatest determinants of health and well-being as the years go on is strength, physical strength. As the years go by, men and women lose muscle and bone mass, and that compromises everything. It makes you increasingly vulnerable, it makes you increasingly weak. For women, the loss of bone mass leads to osteoporosis and associated complaints. As men get older, as the years go on, your levels of testosterone go down on a permanently downward spiral. And loss of testosterone has all sorts of consequences for men. And by no means the least of those consequences is depression. As your testosterone drops, so does your well-being, so does your optimism, and you become increasingly vulnerable to depression. And we know that that suicide takes a far bigger toll on men than on women, and within a certain age band of the demographics, suicide is one of the biggest things that's likely to carry off young men in the West. It's more of a threat than heart attack, stroke, or cancer. Is depression. And so if you lift weights or if you engage in some kind of strength training, amongst other, it makes you stronger physically and it boosts men's testosterone levels and makes you more positive. Okay? But look at what they did. As I say, during lockdown, they shut the gyms, they shut the health centres. It was the antithesis of everything that should have been going on. And more we're being pushed into believing that the future, the healthy future, in inverted commas, is all made of vaccines or some or other medical interventions to protect us from anything and everything. And it's not the case. It's all about a determined, choreographed drive to turn us from independent, sovereign individuals into, finally, dependent, domesticated sheep, or a flock of battery hens that need everything done for us. And the sooner we waken up to that agenda, well, maybe there's still a chance to pull some of it back.